So for the sake of today's video, we are essentially going to imagine that I'm getting rid of all of my other designer and niche fragrances and starting from scratch, but I'm only rebuilding with designers. These are going to be some of the ones that I'm grabbing first. Now I always have to list a couple disclaimers here. We're talking current in production scents that you can buy now, because if this was a realistic thing and I was starting from scratch right now, I probably wouldn't be able to repurchase my coveted, beloved, discontinued fragrances. So I'm not featuring any of those, no hard to find stuff, anything like that. What this does, at least for me, and obviously for you guys, is it kind of gives everybody an idea of what I'm currently really gravitating towards right now, what I'm really thinking about, what I'm wearing, what I'm anticipating wearing here when the weather changes. These are the ones that are kind of at the top of my mind right now. And this changes, throughout the year due to season, due to just getting in new fragrances and just kind of going through, little spells where, I really like this type of scent and this style right now, but then maybe I get over that and then now I'm on to this. And so it gives you kind of an idea of where I'm at right now. And so with that idea, spring, being around the corner here soon, this first one was pretty quick to pop into my mind. It is Brioni Eau de Parfum. This is the Essentiel version. This is probably the least talked about version. Now it's one of the newer ones and it doesn't have a whole lot of publicity like the Eau de Parfum and the Intense has. But I don't know if it'll ever get there, because this one's a little bit different. This is good for people who want something that really stands out. But keep in mind, it's not your usual smelling designer scent. It has sandalwood, tomato, bergamot, cardamom, and patchouli. It's a very green scent, and that's made evident by the bottle, the color of the bottle. That's always not an indicator, but it definitely is. In this case, it is a green tomato leaf smelling scent with plenty of woods as well, and patchouli, which gives it this very mature, refined, and classy edge to it. So it's interesting because it's a little bit casual from this kind of green, leafy freshness, but then that woody undertone gives it more of a somewhat formal leaning smell, or a little bit of a more premium smell like I had mentioned earlier. So this one kind of is somewhere in the middle and ultimately has a lot of versatility. You could pretty much wear this for any situation that you could think of in the mild weather. And I'm thinking, spring, early summer, and probably early fall, when we're looking at temperatures that aren't hot, but aren't necessarily cold either. We're kind of in that sweet spot, that middle ground where it's very comfortable outside. That's kind of when I look at this one. But given the green aspects of it, I especially think it's great for spring, which is coming up, and that's kind of why this is one that I've been thinking about. I can't wait to wear it. This is something that kind of, scratches the itch of wanting something that stands out and that's a little bit unique, especially coming from a designer brand. Now, this next one from Givenchy is Gentleman Society. This is the Ambree version. Hard to see. Really, the only differentiating factor on these is the color of the logo on the front. You kind of see it there. It's a little bit gold, but the lighting and stuff doesn't really make it too easy. But this is the Ambree version. Now this one has nutmeg, iris, sandalwood, and tobacco. This one is so impressive. Warm, sweet, spicy, a little bit powdery, and just a little bit of this kind of smokiness to it as well. I was not expecting to like this one that much. Now, when I say that, I don't mean that I thought I was going to dislike it, but this one has really climbed the ranks for me to the point where it's kind of rivaling Reserve Privé in terms of just my favorite, and I never thought that was going to happen. I even remember when Reserve Privé came out, and in fact I probably said this in my first impressions or review video. Somebody can go back and look and tell me, but at one point I know I said, I would be surprised if they release something that is going to, be just as good or potentially better than Reserve Privé. And it has taken them several years, right? It didn't happen right away, but this one is really close. I think that they hit it out of the park with this one. Very, very impressive release all the way through. A little bit warm, spicy, sweet, smooth iris, nice smooth sandalwood, and then that smoky kind of red tobacco accord as well. It is just really, really good. Delicious and addicting. I love this one. And we're kind of getting towards wrapping up winter here, so I'm going to be wearing this one a bit more while I can before it starts to get too warm. But this is definitely one that if I was starting over, I would be adding to my collection as soon as I could get it. And this one, is usually around $105 on discounters, and that's a pretty good chunk off of retail price. So definitely a very, very reasonable price for what you get. Okay, now this next one here is one I would be, rushing out to get as soon as I could, because I don't think that this fragrance is going to be around forever. It's already been a little bit iffy here and there, and the entire rest of the line has been discontinued as well. So to me, it's kind of only a matter of time. It is Bvlgari Aqua Marine. I would for sure be picking up a bottle of this. I would be getting probably a couple bottles of this one, just as backups, and I'd probably grab a couple bottles of Aqua as well. If I were starting over, I would want to make sure I secure these, because I bought several bottles of Atlantique. I have a couple bottles of Amara, not a ton. And then even the tonics. I stocked up on all of those because I've been such a big fan of this series, and I knew that they were going away. Now this one here has watery notes, neroli, grapefruit, and seaweed. So a very marine smelling scent through and through. Like, it truly smells oceanic, from just kind of the salty notes that it has, along with that seaweed accord, and then just the citrus to go along with it to give it, that summery feel that you would expect out of something that smells like the ocean after all. It really is kind of, I guess, what you would imagine a true marine scent would smell like. If you've been to the ocean, you kind of have that understanding of just, the salty air and the water and everything like that. And if you were to try to bottle that into a cologne, this is kind of what you would expect it to smell like. And so because of that, not everybody likes this. I think that's why this lineup has kind of been left to waste, so to speak. They just haven't really produced any more flankers, and they discontinued basically all of them. So I think that, it's a little bit out there for a lot of people, especially these days maybe. This is not the trend anymore, and so, we're going sweeter and sweeter. Bvlgari's focusing on other things, and that's fine. But for me, I love this stuff. Really a big fan of a true marine smelling scent. I love stuff like this, and I love the bottle too. I don't like it for storage purposes because it lays like this and takes up a ton of room. But, when you get this one in the light, I mean, look at that. That is just really, really cool. I love how that looks. I like this one better than the regular Aqua bottle, and probably even better than Atlantique. I like that light blue color. This one is amazing to me. Going for a Chanel up next, we have Allure Homme Edition Blanche. It's hard to choose only one. In a perfect world, I would be purchasing all of them. If I was starting over from scratch, I definitely would be. But when you're kind of having to do a video and you don't want to feature all of them, you kind of have to pick one. And given, the fact that we're coming up on spring, this is one that I'm going for. It basically has lemon and some tonka bean, kind of vanilla sweetness, alongside that pre-existing, well-established Chanel Allure Homme DNA. That's what this one is in a nutshell. And it smells amazing. I love this one. It's always been described kind of as a summer gourmand because it does kind of have an edible smell to it from the lemon, but yet it's not as sweet as a more traditional winter smelling gourmand where it's just too sweet that wouldn't work in summer. The lemon here, not really a winter note, more of a summer note with a little bit of that sweetness. Therefore, it's kind of a summer-based gourmand scent. Also really good for spring as well. Probably better for spring, I would say, if you had to pick one, just because summers here usually get pretty hot and humid and a bit too much for this if you're outdoors anyway. But, for, just indoor, outdoor use, spring would be the perfect time of year to be wearing this. And I love it for that reason. The opening especially is amazing. That nice bright lemon sour punch off the top, immediately transitioning into that nice smooth vanilla tonka mixture. This one is great. Smells really good, and it's, surprisingly enough, available below retail. I feel like I shouldn't say that on YouTube, so yeah, you can get this one. I'll link it down below. This next one is Rabanne Invictus Aqua 2024 / I guess 2025. Now the 2025 I haven't bought yet, but it's angular. So you guys have seen the new Invictus bottles. Like, it started with Invictus Parfum, the angular bottle, and now like Victory and Victory Absolute have that bottle, and actually regular Invictus. Basically, they're changing the entire Invictus line over to that angular style bottle. The 2025 version looks like that as well. This is obviously the 2024. I'm basing this off the assumption that the 2025 smells just like this. It's just they changed the bottle to match. That's my guess, but I could be wrong. So don't take that, to gospel here. I'm just guessing. But for my purposes of this video, this is the 2024. So I would be buying this again because you could still get bottles of this one in particular on discounters all over the place. It would really suck if I lost my entire fragrance collection just due to the sheer amount of backup bottles that I have invested in over the years, one of which being multiple bottles of the 2016 version of this scent, which I was actually just looking at before this video. They're actually, the color of, I guess, the liquid and maybe the frost is a little bit darker. But yeah, Invictus Aqua, one that I love so much. I already made up my mind I'm going to wear this today. It's still cold outside, but I'm in the mood for this. I love this one. It's one I've worn for years throughout summertime and spring as well. And I've worn them year round too, but especially summer is when I really like to wear this one. And it's a no-brainer. If I'm starting from scratch, this will be in my collection. Let's go for Prada L'Homme Intense. If I want something that's a little bit more classy, a little bit more refined, a little bit more upscale, something that just kind of has a premium smell, but not necessarily a premium price. Prada L'Homme Intense is kind of that perfect balance because it's, I think on discounters, anywhere from $80 to $90 here for this. And, that's to me a great price for what you're getting in return. It's a little bit more expensive than regular Prada L'Homme, but to me, this one is so much better than that it's kind of a no-brainer to step up to this. And there are different use cases for each. So, sometimes it's not always as simple as, oh, this is better than this, right? For me, I prefer the smell of this, okay? I prefer the smell of the Intense. I wear it more. Therefore, for me, it's better, okay? But, I have other fresher scents to wear than regular Prada L'Homme. And so that's kind of where it comes down to. Regular Prada L'Homme is fresher. It's going to be better for spring use and, just milder, more warmer weather, whereas the Intense version would not be. If I wanted kind of an iris-based scent that was fresher for spring, I could go for something different, right? Just all together. I don't necessarily need to go for Prada L'Homme. If I wanted something classy, it doesn't have to be Prada L'Homme either. I have, the selection to choose from, but not everybody does. And so you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt in terms of what you think is better or not. For me, this is one that I enjoy more. I reach for it more and I get more use out of it, which is important to me because I feel like I'm not wasting my money by having it sit there and not get used at all. And so for me, this one, introducing the leather and the tonka bean into that existing iris DNA, it's just a little bit sweeter, a little bit more full-bodied and rich at a great price. And last up for this video, we have Hugo Boss Bottled Elixir. I truly do go back and forth between this and the Absolute. And what I love so much about this dynamic, and this is something that doesn't always happen often, is it really is a matter of like strength or just intensity that you can select from, because they really do smell very similar to each other. The notes are pretty similar, the smell is very similar. It truly is just a matter of the Absolute version being a little bit stronger, a little bit more full-bodied, and the Elixir version being a little bit more fresh, but this is not fresh at all. It's a little bit lighter, I guess would be the better way to describe the Elixir. Some people are going to prefer this because of that. The Absolute is just too much, and hey, I get it. I understand that one could be a little bit too far. For me, I like them both, and I like the fact that on days where I don't want something too intense, too extreme, maybe more of just a kind of a casual wearing it around the house, just wanting to smell good and enjoy it for myself, I'll go for something like Elixir, right? A little bit more easygoing. And if I'm going out and about or something and you want to make more of a statement, you could step up to the Absolute version. This one has frankincense, patchouli, cedarwood, labdanum, and even a little bit of cardamom in there, mostly off the top. So it's woody, it's smoky, a little bit resinous, and again, a lot of those notes carry over into Absolute with a few differences as well. I think Absolute might list off maybe myrrh or something. I can't remember for sure, but still very, very similar scents. It's just a matter of how far you want to take it. A lot of people I know have both because, you bought this first and then Absolute came out after, right? That's just kind of the cycle here. We weren't really knowing what to expect after this. And so, you kind of see that where you can just pick and choose based upon what kind of wearing experience you want for the day, which I think is really cool. So again, Absolute could have been in here as well. I go back and forth between them, just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. So that's gonna do it for me, guys. If I was starting from scratch, here are some of the designer scents that I would pick up first. This is only designers, this is only stuff that's in production. Haven't covered niche, haven't covered discontinued rare stuff, which is a completely different topic in and of itself. And we'll drop links to all these down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.